going. So by the title of this video, you'll probably know exactly what I'm going to talk about. But let's just go ahead and get into it. Recently, my entire family had head lice. Ooh, I don't know, just something about head lice like gives me the heebie-jeebies, like knowing that there's bugs like crawling in my hair and like where did I get them, and kind of not really knowing where they come from is, I guess, gives me like the creepy crawlies. But the likelihood that if you're a parent that you're gonna get head lice or that your kids are gonna get head lice is quite high. So I wanted to give you guys my tips for how to get rid of head lice naturally in 24 hours. And this is not clickbait. We literally got rid of our head lice in 24 hours without using any sort of chemical rinse or anything like that. I didn't really want us to be exposed to chemicals. We eat all organically and like we have mostly organic products in our house. I just wasn't comfortable using pesticides and like big chemical stuff. So I will go ahead and tell you what we did first. So here's the story of how we discovered we had head lice. So myself, my 2-year-old son, and my daughter were all headed out to get haircuts. And we actually have a hairstylist who comes to us and we meet her at my mom's house. So my mom can get a haircut and then me and the kids can get a haircut. And she has been our hairstylist since like before I was born. So she's basically like a member of the family. A few days prior to that, my daughter had been in like a theater production from a theater camp, and I noticed that when she was on stage late in the evening, she was like digging in her hair. I was thinking, maybe this is naive, I don't know. I was thinking that number one, maybe her head was just super sweaty, and because they had like the stage lights and it was probably like a good 85 degrees in there. They didn't have any fans. It was in an old like elementary school building. So I thought maybe she's just hot and she needs a bath. So we did that. We gave her a bath that night. I also thought maybe she was just really tired. She's a kid that like if she gets really tired, she starts kind of like messing with things. Like she'll put her hands in her hair. I don't know, just do other things to keep herself awake. Like she maybe puts her hands together, claps, jumps around, does that kind of thing. So I was just thinking maybe either she was tired and trying to keep herself awake, or like maybe her head was just really sweaty under these stage lights. So I don't know, that maybe that was just naive thinking. So we did shower her that night and went to bed. The next day we got up and we went to haircut. Harrison got his haircut and everything was good. Then my mom had a haircut with the same comb that Harrison used. Hopefully she doesn't get any head lice. And then Delilah sits down for her haircut and the hairstylist pulls her hair apart, you know, trying to part it, doing her cut and whatever, and sees that she has actual like creepy crawly bugs in her hair. Like it wasn't just the nits, she actually had the bugs in her hair. And I don't know, this is something that I'm okay being open about, but I mean, hopefully you guys will be really kind in the comments. I would also like to break down the stigma of head lice by sharing this. A lot of people think that just people in poverty get head lice, really dirty people get head lice, that kind of thing. Really, anybody can get head lice, and I just kind of want to put this out there also to make that point and to break down the stigma for head lice. Basically, as soon as my hairstylist saw the bugs in Delilah's hair, I snatched them up and left my mom's house. I didn't want to expose them to that any more than they had already been. I wanted to get us out there and start getting it treated as quickly as possible. I didn't really know how long a natural treatment would take, and I was flying out for a work thing like the week after this, and Delilah had a big trip planned with my mom and dad and just all this stuff going on that we didn't have time to really like slack on treatment. You know, I wanted to get things treated as quickly as possible to get it resolved as quickly as possible. So we came home and the first thing that we did is we coated our heads in olive oil. So a lot of people will say drowning or suffocating head lice is a great way to go. A lot of people in the past, I think, have used mayonnaise mayonnaise. I don't buy like a big thing of mayonnaise, and I buy the organic kind, so I didn't want to, you know, waste that. So I figured like an oil was a good idea. So I first coated all of our heads in olive oil. That's the first step that we did. And this includes Brian. We all had it, everybody in our house. So I came home and I treated everybody with the olive oil. So basically on dry hair, I dumped olive oil on our head and coated our hair until the olive oil was like running down our neck from our hair. So I put a very generous amount of olive oil on. I had to put more on because I have really long, thick hair. Delilah has short hair, Harrison has short hair. I had to put a good amount on Brian because he has long hair too. But we started with olive oil. This is just the Kirkland brand, and this is what we get because it's the cheapest. It is organic, but you can really use any brand of olive oil that you would like if you would like to follow these steps. So first step, a generous amount of olive oil. Next, we added a few drops I would say between like 5 to 10, depending on the length of your hair, of organic tea tree oil. And usually we use the doTERRA brand, but we are actually out of the tea tree oil by doTERRA, and you will see tea tree oil marketed as either tea tree oil or melaleuca. I hope I'm saying that right. If I'm not, I'm sure you guys will correct me in the comments. But yes, tea tree oil. And I put closer to probably 10 drops on my head. I was probably somewhere between 3 to 5 drops on Harrison's head. Same for Delilah, and maybe a few more for Brian. So just depending on your hair length, that's what I would use. And basically I put the drops on, and then I took a fine tooth comb and combed it all the way through our hair. Then after I added the tea tree oil to the olive oil, I put hair nets on myself and Delilah. Harrison wasn't gonna keep it on because he's a toddler, and Brian had actually already been treating his hair with natural remedies because his head had been itchy, and he had thought that it was just like allergies on his scalp or really dry scalp for whatever reason. I'm telling you, like, maybe we were just straight in denial that we all had head lice, but this is what we were doing. So he was actually treating his head naturally for the past like 2 days, so I didn't put a shower cap on him. So I just put a shower cap on myself and Delilah and left the olive oil and tea tree mixture on us for a full 8 hours. Most people say you don't have to leave it on this long, but I wanted to let that stuff get in my hair and kill as many of those bugs as possible. So the thing about tea tree oil is, when I was doing research on this, it does not kill like the full adult lice. So if you have good sized lice in your hair, it's not gonna kill those. It will just slow those down. It will kill the juveniles, and I believe it will kill all of the eggs. So you don't have to worry about reinfestation as much, and you'll get rid of a ton of the little ones if you have a bunch of little ones in your hair. So that is something good to know with the tea tree oil. You also want to get yourself a fine tooth comb. I actually went and picked up like an actual metal lice comb, and I'll link down below the one that I picked up. The plastic combs won't pick up as much, but if that's what you have and that's what you want to use, then great. But I definitely highly recommend a lice comb so that you can pull through the hair and just see kind of what you're working with, pull stuff out. When you are pulling lice, the actual bugs and the eggs out of the hair, you want to use a paper towel or a paper napkin so that you can dispose of that. I actually like wrapped it up and took it right outside. And while we were treating each other's hair and like combing through, we actually would like squish any that we found alive. And I know that's really disgusting, but those suckers can move. And you want to make sure that you squish them. This is really, really gross, so I'm really sorry in advance, but you want to squish them until you actually hear like a popping noise. If you've ever like picked aphids out of a garden, you will know what I'm talking about. They make the same kind of like popping noise, but you want to squish them until they are popping. It's really gross and it's a process, but again, you don't want to risk anything like getting off of that paper towel and creepy and crawly. Or what you can do is you can submerge it in a glass of water if you want to just dump them in there. That is another way to go as well. So that is what we did first. So we left all of that on for 8 hours. Then we actually went and everybody took showers. I just washed my hair in the sink because I felt like that was easiest. Then I could keep an eye on everybody still. And I washed my hair. This is so funny. I washed our hair with our dog's shampoo. This is, you guys, this story just gets crazier and crazier. So I washed our hair with our dog shampoo. So number one, the dog shampoo has aloe in it, and that provides some itch relief, which is awesome. Our dog shampoo is kind of like a natural dog shampoo. So I also felt like it might be a little bit more heavy duty. Dogs are outside, so you try to like clean off the grime and all of that. So it also had tea tree oil in the shampoo. So I thought that was gonna give us like a little extra boost, keeping some tea tree oil in our hair. So I washed all of us with the dog shampoo, and then we used the blow dryer on everyone's hair until it was completely dry. So again, you want to use that heat to really kill all of the lice and to kill any of the nits or the eggs. So then our next step was to use Bragg's apple cider vinegar. This is the raw unfiltered. This is the kind that you want to get. It can be store brand or anything like that. I think Spectrum makes apple cider vinegar. There are also a couple other brands, but I will leave this one in the description box below if you would like to pick some up. You can use this actually for lots of other natural things, but that is a side note. We used this in all of our hair. So after it was blow dried, we wet our entire heads with apple cider vinegar. And Brian actually had the great idea to fill up a dropper with apple cider vinegar and treat like problem spot areas. So we would put this right where it was really itchy and like put the dropper right next to our scalp. And then again, we wet our entire heads until it was literally like running down our neck. I put my hair just up in like a bun. Delilah's is short, so I just kind of like laid her on a pillow. That pillow then went in the wash the next morning. But yeah, our hair was wet with this. We left it on overnight, and then again, we washed our hair with the tea tree oil dog shampoo. After that, the next morning, I combed through our hair, and the only thing that I was actually able to find were like dead head lice and then a few eggs. So I continued like washing our hair with the tea tree oil shampoo overnight the next night. So this would be the second night. I actually treated our hair again with oil and tea tree oil. By the third morning, we literally had nothing left in our hair. Like there was nothing, no itching, no anything like that. So I still am like paranoid, so I totally scratched my hair. I have been blow drying it daily. And if you're looking for ways to prevent head lice, I highly recommend blow drying your hair if you are someone who air dries your hair, making sure that you are washing things. This includes your dog. A dog can carry the lice, but they cannot live on them. So your dog can bring them into your house, but they can't like live on them, if that makes sense. Dogs get fleas, so not head lice. They're just a little bit different. Another way to prevent it is to make sure that you are like sanitizing. So we don't really use like harsh chemicals, but we do use a steam mop. And again, that will provide the heat, and then it also sanitizes. And then the last way is to just put a few drops of tea tree oil right into your shampoo, and I'll give you a link down below. It tells you how many drops per ounce of shampoo that you use. So just add a few drops in there. It won't leave any lingering smell. If you know anything about tea tree oil, it is kind of a strong scent, but it won't leave any of that in your shampoo if you're worried about that. So those are my tips and tricks for treating head lice and getting rid of it naturally in 24 hours. If you have any other like great head lice tips and tricks, you can leave those down below. Things that have worked for you. I heard things like mayonnaise in the hair works well. I heard that coconut oil was really good for like combing out the nits. I also heard that like if you use hair dye, it will kill them. You know, that's kind of a chemical base. Obviously you can use any of the like chemical based things in the store. But side note, before you do any of this, before you put anything on your hair, please contact your physician. I'm not a doctor. I'm just a mom who did like a quick Google research and contacted our pediatrician actually to find out what would work well for us. Please don't do any of this stuff until you check with your pediatrician and make sure, especially with little ones can have allergies to essential oils and that kind of thing. So make sure that you are using everything in a really safe way. So again, if you have any head lice treatments, go ahead and leave those down in the comments below. And thanks for letting me share my story about our infestation. So if you like this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up for me. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave those down below. If you're new around here, hit that red subscribe button and hit the bell as well so you can get notifications every time I post a video. If you are one of my current subscribers, thank you so much for being here. I couldn't do what I do without you. If you would like to connect with me outside of YouTube, feel free to check down in the description box. All of my social media links are down there: Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook like page, and I think a few other things. We also recently got a P.O. box, so if you'd like to send us a postcard, we would love to hear from you. And by the way, you guys, have fun today.